Now, our next guest might not agree with that general kind of strategy. She's got a more conciliatory book. Her name is Maribeth Kuzmeski, and she's written Politically Connect, 11 Lessons in Connecting for Today's Politicians and Everyone in Between. Maribeth, welcome to the Young Turks.
Thank you very much.
All right, hit me. What does this mean to politically connect?
Well, I wrote this book called The Connectors, and it actually seems like, and it was a business book, but it seems like it applies really well for politics because what politicians don't seem to do is connect today at all.
Okay. I'm a little skeptical, I'll be honest with you, so we'll have a fun interview. So you tell me why you think that's the main problem.
Well, here's what I see happening is that they're diametrically, the Republicans and the Democrats are diametrically opposed. But what's happened is, and that's just, that's politics. That's just the way that it happens year after year after year. But what's happening today is that I think it's even worse in terms of the emotionally charged nature of the partisan politics. They're yelling at the president and and I just don't think that a lot of good things happen. Now, I understand that if you're diametrically opposed, you're not going to vote on something that somebody else wants. But at the end of the day, it's really hurting the people that these bills are being passed for and maybe being passed against. But we're not connecting with each other. And things happen when we connect. In business, we have to collaborate. That's part of business. In politics, I would get fired for doing some of the things that politicians do.
You mean like Joe Wilson yelling out, "You lie," to the president, et cetera. I get that. But, of course, the main motivation of the politicians is money. And so this isn't really about emotions as much as it is about who's paying me. And if the insurance company's paying the Republicans, well, then they're going to try to kill insurance reform. And so that's part of the ballgame. But I want to talk to you about another part of it, too, which is general political strategy. I don't think the way to do it is to try to connect to the other side. I believe in Mike Singletary's rule. Let me share that with you and then get your thoughts on it.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Number one.
That's my philosophy. What do you think, Maribeth? You think I have it wrong?
Well, if you look, and I've been involved in politics for many, many years, and negative campaigning works. And negative campaigning works because it gets people's attention, and there's no doubt about that. But in specifically talking about what's happening in government right now, if they connected just a little bit better, I don't think the hard-hitting stuff is going to make things happen any differently than they're happening right now. I think that I agree with you, though. The negative stuff, the hard-hitting, you got to just come at them. But I think we've reached a point where nothing else good is going to happen by continuing on that path. I think, and not to be Pollyanna about it, but I think if we were actually a little bit more positive, more things might get done. More bipartisan politics, even though that might be Pollyanna in and of itself.
Yeah, I'm of that mind. I'm sorry, but because look, the ultimate connector is Barack Obama. So does that help him win elections? Yes. So you have a very good point there, right? And he connects with the American people. Bill Clinton was very famous for that, and he did a great job with it, et cetera. But when it comes to running the country, Obama's been like reaching out, please connect to me, and that hasn't seemed to work for him.
Well, I believe what he did, and he's doing, but he's starting to change his tune a little bit, is that he delegated the connecting when he got into office. When he's out there, when he's speaking, well, he's connecting, in a very strong way, much like Clinton did. But when he gets into government, he delegates the bipartisanship and all the things that he talked about to partisan politicians who are not going to connect. And instead of him getting involved, if he knew this was going to be, a big fight, which I'm sure he assumed it must have been, that he couldn't just steamroll his health care bill through, that maybe working with the politicians as opposed to just saying, okay, Democrats, you go do it. And they've been, embroiled in partisan politics their entire careers on both sides of the fence. And he delegated the connecting. So he didn't do what he said he was going to do. He thought somebody else would be able to do it. And obviously that hasn't worked.
Maribeth, it's not that I don't love you, but I just don't agree. He invited him over to watch the Super Bowl, to do this, to do that. He tried all that connecting stuff. And politicians don't care about that. They care about their own ass. And so you have to threaten their seat. and if they think they're going to lose their seat, then all of a sudden they'll want to connect with you a lot more. Okay, so
right.
there's carrots and sticks, but Obama's used too many connecting carrots and not enough connecting over the head with a stick.
Well, I think part of it is the definition of what connecting is. And it's not the warm, fuzzy, let's watch the Super Bowl. It's what do you need, what do you want, and what do I need and I want, and finding some middle ground, which now they're starting to talk about it, but it's almost too late. It's probably not going to happen. But if he would have started talking about that in the beginning, which I don't believe he did, I believe he gave lip service to it, and then he put it over to his to the leaders of the House and the Senate to go ahead and put these bills together that eliminated anything that the Republicans might have wanted. Now,
that's totally not true. I mean, I love, again, much love, and it's okay. We have a disagreement on that, but they put in 150 Republican amendments into the Senate bill. What do they need to do? Put in 151? No. They reached out to the Republicans. I'm going to let an old caller of ours have the final word here to represent my views.
Supposed to do? You take them out of the office and hit them with a stick a couple times. They will do.
They will do. All right. Maribeth Kuzmeski is the author of Politically Connect, 11 Lessons in Connecting for Today's Politicians and Everyone in Between. And thank you so much for joining us. And I love to have a conversation with people I agree and disagree with. So it was great.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Maribeth. All right. We will be right back. Young Turks.